Anyway, that's a good answer. Thank you. Online media is obviously becoming more and more important. I'm not sure it's as important as the Obama campaign said it was, or as the Scott Brown campaign said it was, but it's clearly becoming more important. Traditional shops and traditional planners and consultants are obviously participating in this space in a big way. And my question is, how do you integrate it? Do you use specialists, or do you use your partner, your traditional partner, who in many cases is geared up to handle this? And it's such a fast developing space that is it reasonable to assume that the traditional players can stay current, over the course of a campaign? And Fred, I'd start with you.
Well, we do everything a little differently from the rest of the world. My philosophy has always been to find the absolute best people in every category that we need in the world, So I have the best director of photography. I've used him for 35 years. My travel agent, I still have the same travel agent I used in Tulsa when I was there 20, 30 years ago, because she's the best I've ever found. In the internet world, what I've found is that there are existing companies that have great specialties, and all of them are working to grow, and all of them are trying to be specialists at everything in that space, but not all of them are. And there's some cases right now where we're working with existing companies that are doing a really good job planning for 2012 races. There's a couple cases where we're kind of having to build a hybrid to find the very best person at fundraising, the very best person at tweets, all these pieces, and put them all together and combine it into sort of an all-star team, if you will, because it is new, Jack, and it is changing, and so that's kind of how we're doing it.
Kyle, how are you dealing with that?
No, it's a challenge because it's so diverse. I mean, you have, from our perspective, of course, there's the buying side of it, but that breaks down into so many different areas. There's the social media aspect, there's the fundraising aspect, there's the website aspect, there's the email aspect. There's just a lot of pieces within the internet to think about. Now, for buying, I think for years it was siloed, and I think that's changing now. I think the industry wants it more integrated. So we have now an in-house person that does all of our online. And just that alone, just that one little piece, there are so many technologies out there. There are so many vendors coming in to talk to us. And it's figuring out what technology is really going to be that's going to deliver the best product for us. And it's a challenge. So you have to test some of these things, find out if it's okay, and then determine whether or not, hey, is this going to meet my communication goals or not? So,
and which one is going to survive?
That's another good point.
In Fiorina's race, I don't know if you all dealt with them with Meg, but Civio, was that it? We spent a lot of money early with a company that was trying to do the same hybrid thing, and it failed right before the election started. The company went out of business. So you have to be careful on that, too.
That's a good point.
Lorena, you've got an integrated operation. How do you deal with that?
We really are quite flexible in how we deal with each of our clients. So when you're talking about presidential campaign, most of those functions are going to be integrated within the campaign. And I think as you go down ballot quite a bit, then that's where you probably have to bring in more of these resources for your candidate. So I have to say it really depends on each client that we have. We have basically done the media strategy and the planning, the buying for digital, for the advertising, for all of it, for smaller campaigns and for organizations. And there are times when we work, for example, with huge operations, and everything is in-house. So we bring in experts in that field for that particular project. I think it's a little it's very a little old school to think that one house is going to hire the best of everyone and keep them in-house full-time when we're so cyclical, 365 days a year. So what we try to do is actually bring in teams that are going to work on particular projects depending on what the needs of the clients are. And so that's just a big way to say it really just depends, A, on resources, how fast out the door they are and what their end goal is. I mean, we obviously want all our candidates and clients to win, but what does that mean? It's really a flexible equation along the way, and it changes up and down, like a cosine, you know, it goes up and down. So it just really depends, but we definitely have, it's kind of like media buyers, I'm sure, they used to buy only television, then they added cable, and now they're adding clearly internet and sites, and we have relationships with all of those, and because we just don't know what the client's going to need or ask for.
Let me sticking with you for a minute. Hispanic media historically has considered themselves to be underspent in the political arena. Why do you think that is? And if so, how's the new census data going to impact on that, do you think? And how much of it do you think is a specialty item, and how much of it is a general advertising issue?
I think that the underspending definitely has occurred for a couple of reasons. One is that it's a greater value to buy in a Spanish language medium than it is in general market. So for example, I give clients, like in Washington, D.C., if you want to buy a 30-second spot, if you're going to buy it on a Thursday night show, Channel 4, NBC, it'd probably be about $4,500. But if you buy a top-rated novela in Washington, D.C., granted, your share's going to be a little different and your market's different, it's maybe about $450, right? So you have to buy 10 times the amount to get those rotations in order to just get one rotation in general market. So that's part of the equation there. The other thing, too, is that, you know, we had Univision yesterday, and they're the 5th largest network across the country. They are a network to be reckoned with. And I think that a lot of general consultants figure out we need to reach Hispanics, so we just have to buy Spanish and there it goes. When in fact, for Hispanic voters, you have to buy both English and Spanish to reach your full market. So we were the official public relations agency for Census 2010, which was a great couple of years, and we learned a lot about the census and how it's done. And frankly, the way it works is not only did we get a lot of surveys being counted and actually filled out, and we obviously surpassed the 2,000 numbers, but the entire team, there were 50 agencies involved, hundreds of consultants all helping the Census Bureau to try to get this done, and essentially bypassed all of their metrics for 2010, surpassed them. So the counts are going to be really shocking to people. There's still going to be a little bit of an undercount, but again, to go back to my original opening statement, is the demographics of our country are definitely changing. So when you have 1 out of every 4 children across the country walking into grade school is Hispanic, 50% of all children born in California and in Texas are Hispanic, it is changing entirely how we live and how we're going to be. And so that's going to make a big difference in broadcast television, in that, not that that English language is actually going to decrease. In fact, it may increase, because the more kids you have taking in multimedia platforms in English and Spanish, they're going to be watching more of everything.